Okay, okay. Let me check if everything is working. Okay, we are live. So tonight we are here and live with Niels, also called the Prophet. Niels, Niels, welcome. It's a pleasure for me to have you here. Welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to speak here again on your channel.
And I basically grabbed you here, because what I wanted to do tonight with you, as I announced to to the guys that will see the live and they are about to connect, is speaking and doing a free flow, and having a master class on self-esteem. So as I told you before, we will go through a lot of topics related to your experience. We will go in free flow. We will also, listen to question. And before I have a few interesting questions to pose you, but what I want to do before going into the topic is what you feel to share, of course, a little bit about your background. So I want for all the people that they see this masterclass, that it's pretty clear that who's speaking is not, as I told you before the live, a Jedi master. So what was your experience in the pickup community? What were your results in the pickup community? I heard about 2-3 girls at the same time every night. I heard about crazy experiences. And what was your breakthrough that made you feel like something was wrong with the community?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing I can share for everyone following you is that it was not just me, we were a few guys. We had a big company called Social Prime. So we were at that level that Alessio came and wanted coaching from us. So obviously we were not people sitting in the forest and just meditating. obviously. Now, my appearance has changed, of course. Like at that time, I had a similar haircut to Alessio, no beard, and I was younger as well. You must understand, I was not like the normal kind of person who goes out in the weekend. I started going out in 2014 when I was 20 years old. And from 2014 to 2017, I went out almost every single night. So for 3 years, almost every single night. And then for 3 more years in Social Prime, almost every single night as well. So technically for 6 years, I've been going out almost every single night. Now, I sucked in the beginning. I was not good, but I made myself good.
I remember one thing that I want to speak about, because was one of the thing that because when you were talking about your story related to dating, I remember one particular thing about you when you realized the dating advice, the technique, and the mask. I remember that you said in a presentation that probably for the first 6 months or 8 months, I don't remember, you were just rejected, you were just
Yes.
going out and being rejected by everybody. So 6 months straight, is that true? Before
Yeah,
having the breakthrough?
it's more like 9 months, and it's not like a joke. It's like every day, because I was listening to the YouTube videos and the cult that we had at that time, RSD. They said just go out every single day, so I did. I'm like, okay, I want to get good. I listen to them. They are the only people that I know. So go out every single day, and get rejected every single day for 9 months. It's not a joke. So, but here's what's interesting. That was basically when I broke through in 2014. I actually did a little bit of mind programming. So not a lot of people know that, but I follow the. I won't share the book because it's irrelevant now. It's so old. What I teach and what you teach is much more powerful than this book. But I did a book. I wrote down some things and I read this 100 times a day. It took 1 hour, and after 10 days, I went from impossible to get laid, getting rejected 1,000 times, and then in 2 weeks, I had my first 3 girls. That's
So
how it started.
like you are telling me that for the first time, basically in your journey, there was a time when you had proofs that mind and dating, so mind, pickup, self-esteem was in a way connected, but you didn't know what was the link. So you had the first proof that even doing like the most simple thing that we both know that isolated it's worth nothing, affirmation, you get you get your 0 result multiplied by 3.
Yes, yes. And then it was different because then it's like my life changed. My natural friend and some other friends that were natural, they just came into my life and we started hanging out. And I got them into game, and they were so good. But they could not approach like me because even though I sucked for 9 months, I became an approach machine. I could approach anyone, so I would approach all these girls all the time, and my best friend would hook them and get with them, and I would be left with nothing or the ugly one. And then eventually, over time, I started to approach where they were too nice, and then I would get a nice girl as well. Like I built myself, but I learned so much. I let my friend do this, and I learned from him. I watched how he was. I saw that, like, so I started to understand the vibe. Like I was never a technical guy. I was never a guy who could do techniques because it seemed like so much headache in my mind. But I would study. Like my first mentor, he was my best friend at the time, and he was a natural. He was an Albanian guy actually from Kosovo, and I just observed how he was, and then my vibe started to become more like him, and all of a sudden we had a similar result, and then that built me from level 0 to level 1. Now what's crazy is in the middle of 2014, he left because he was doing something else, and I found another friend which is called Yolmas, which was in our company. At that time, I'd been going out for 1 year, and I've been getting some results, and he was fresh, he was new. And the first time we met, I took him right away. The first 5 minutes, I took him right away to meet a girl. So he became like my first student.
Okay.
And I was getting some results, but then him and me, we hit a dry spell for 3 months. Again, we went out every single day. And the painful thing, this time I was pulling. This time I was pulling from the club or at my home. But there was some neediness in me. So maybe 40 girls, I missed the opportunity because
But
I was so good.
I want to
Yeah.
ask a few questions before moving forward because they are interesting. So the first question that I want to ask, that is the thing that I always say, in the community, and they of course try to attack me for that, but it's reality. You are one of the proof because it's me and you, even if we were at the opposite side of the world, we had the same experience. Why? Because you had the proof that a guy that was completely natural, he didn't know any technique. He was banging a lot of girls. So the thing that the dating is not able to explain is why, and we both know why, we all are born as natural. And the funny thing is that even me in the beginning, I remember that in my mind, approaching a girl was impossible. So the
Mm,
first time that I approached a girl from cold approach was because a natural brought brought me in front of 2 girls and said to me, now we are going to approach them. Okay, so like this, when people get into the dating community, is something that they are not conscious about, because the naturals, they appear like um, some entity that comes from the space, even though
yeah.
like naturals are everywhere and everyone is potentially a natural. So you had the first realization that there were friends like with your appearance, that were having results, and your friends,
Yeah.
you said they were not technician, so they didn't use
No.
technique.
Here, there's a way to there's a way to destroy technical game, and it's just to ask the question: what do you think technical game is based on? Who are they trying to mimic? The natural.
The natural. Yeah.
It's obvious. And here's the thing: uh, I'll share this, like, because I don't teach dating anymore, but I still have people coming to me. I help with mindset, so I can change a person's dating life. And I have a guy who I am changing his dating life right now. And this guy, like 2 weeks ago, he just got laid with 4 girls in 1 week after not having getting laid for months because of me coaching him. And he asked this question today, and he asked the same question about techniques. He asked me, why can't I be natural and use techniques at the same time? And I told him, like, they are opposites. Like, you cannot. It's like, and then he asked me this. He's like, okay, so what about this guy, famous guy? He's getting laid. He's using techniques. I told him, like, actually, you can get laid with techniques, but it's not optimal because you're not becoming that guy who is attractive. You are pretending to be attractive. You are mimicking attractiveness. But what we are talking about, which maybe is a little bit more painful because you have to face your own self, but you will become the man who is attractive. You won't be the chode who's pretending and who's really good at game. And believe me, I know people with over 300 or maybe now probably 700 day count, and they still are a little chode. Because when I look them in the eyes, they can pretend how much they want, but they know and I know that they are still the same chode. And I know because when I met one of these guys, he used to be my friend, but he backstabbed us. And I met this guy, and literally he was trying to game me. And I don't react. I just don't react. He tried to frame battle me. And like, can I tell a story? It's kind of crazy. So basically, this was a few years ago, and this guy, he had backstabbed us and whatever, he had gotten laid like crazy, and then he was like eating. He's like, "Oh, well, what do you like? How are you? How are you doing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm bored." And then he tries to game me. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'm getting so many good reactions from all these girls around, and so I'm not bored." But maybe you didn't get that, so maybe I understand if you're bored. And I just looked at him and I was like, this is a clown in my head.
By the way, do you remember a guy, don't worry, he's not watching at us, because I want to tell you this, like you know that, but I'm not doing names, but we both know. Do you remember a guy that in Sopot was completely drunk to go on stage and you almost time traveled him? Do you
Yes,
remember?
yes.
Do you remember that? And there is somebody in Italy that takes this guy as an example, because it's, I mean, one, I don't know, how many? 2,000 lays or something like this.
Yeah.
And I remember when we were in the stage and you were talking, and I was seeing Belvedere vodka bottles, and
Yeah.
I was seeing Belvedere vodka bottles, and you were almost like here with Niels, with Chris, time traveling, going back to drama. It's crazy. Like all the people in the community of dating, they have this reaction, like I did, and you did, the lay count, and they
Yeah.
rationalize, they rationalize. They are, oh, I'm a free spirit. I'm a wild horse, and the worst part is they do all the life like this until the life ends. And I joke
Yeah.
about it that they will use push pull with the nurse when they will be at the when they will be at the end of their life. They will use push pull with the nurse. Imagine a guy using push pull with the nurse. Like, hey, your shirt is too much red. Yeah, this is the community
No,
nowadays.
here's the thing, like, techniques, if you use techniques, it's because you are insecure. No, if you rely on techniques, it's because you are insecure. Yeah, there are some naturals who can use a technique like for fun, but it's for fun. But if you're using a technique, it's because you are insecure. You don't dare to be yourself. You don't dare to put yourself on the line. Now, what you are talking about and what I'm talking about, what I used to talk about when I was into dating and what you speak about is how to become attractive, not to pretend. Do you want to pretend to be attractive or do you want to become attractive? Because they are very different.
Yeah, and even the notion, of demonstrating high value, it has two bad points. The first one, that you're not high value to begin with, and the second one is that she has to, she has to decide if you are high value or not. And this is the worst part. So your value, when you have demonstrating high value, the proposition is, why I'm not high value to begin with? So, like,
Yeah.
imagine if today I was full of things like you, and I have to pretend to go to my girlfriend and tell my girlfriend, no, don't worry, I'm indestructible. No, don't worry, I'm like, nobody affects me, And this is the things that they are a poison in the dating community. You have to go to the date and you have to demonstrate, and the concept of sexual market value, if you're not good looking enough, you're not having any girl. You can't have that girl. If you're not famous enough, you can't have that girl. And then there were you and the guys back in 2017. They were banging hotties into the worst apartment in all around Europe, probably stealing the same girls from the most exclusive VIP tables in all the clubs, and girls that, like, people like PUA, pickup artists, will pay to date. And this is a funny story because I saw a lot of behind the scenes. Like me myself, I was having an old car, an old shitty car, and I was bringing girls outside from the club with my shitty car of 20 years old. But this is a good thing to say, because they have this limiting belief of, I have to demonstrate value, I have to prove my worth. What do you think about that?
If you want to do circus, do it, but you're gonna be a clown. Like, honestly, like, I mean, see, I didn't. Okay. When I learned this, when I learned game, my main source of motivation was like RSD. It was Owen and it was Julian, and I watched that. But I was not inspired to listen because all they talk about was to take action. So I went to take action. Like in 2015, you don't know. Like I cannot count on my hands and feet how many times like I pulled in minus 30 degrees in Sweden for 30 minutes. You walk in the ice, like you don't get what we did. You don't get, I jump in a taxi with a stranger and I game her on the way. Like this kind of things. That's what inspired me, like to try and do crazy things, and try and to expand. Like, okay, that's the VIP girl there. She's in Milan, whatever. And she's a model. Go there. Go and put yourself on the line. See what happens. Like, don't be like you have to be high value. No, go be low value and see if you can do it. Because here's the thing, I never got into the high value stuff and the low value kind of bullshit, because I met thousands of guys in game. I met hundreds of very successful guys, and they come in all shapes and forms. Rich guys, which have a lot of girls. Poor guys, which have a lot of girls. Short guys, which have a lot of girls. Tall girls, skinny guys, buff guys, fat guys, like black guys, Indian guys, like Asians. Any color of the rainbow, any size. The feminine guys that got girls. I know a feminist when I was like 19. This guy, he was a natural. He was a feminist. He had nail paint. And he had the most beautiful women. Like he actually stole a girl I was in love with. Like before I was good.
But when was exact, like when was exactly the moment that, because you said, and then we will speak about a little bit, because we both have 1 hour and I will leave like the last 15 minutes to question. But
Yeah.
it's a very important thing, like to share with the boys, what was exactly, because you were pulling left and right, okay? You had your story, you take massive action, you had the proof that seduction wasn't a skill because they were natural. So if there was a skill, why they did 0 hours and they were banging? But in the end, you went there, okay? You were at the pinnacle. You were pulling left and right. You were having threesome orgies, the most, the most, highest things in terms of lay counts. You have your rotation, you have your girls, you have this part of life, we will say, fixed. And you also have a business after. But before the business side of the story, when was the moment that you felt something was off? And this is related to self-esteem, because in the community, in the Italian community, it is the same topic. In the action, results. Tony Robbins said that you have a new belief. And then when you have the 1,000 girl, you have a new belief, and then you are worthy, and then your identity changes. This is the same thing that we both know is wrong, but that is perpetrated during the years, just because a coach said that. Nobody questioned that. And I want you to elaborate on that. So what was your experience and feeling on that?
Yeah, so like, I was never a technical guy. I was a massive action guy. That's what I was. So I needed momentum in order to get women. I would not even feel comfortable if I didn't have momentum. So I never had a girlfriend at that time, because you cannot have momentum with a girlfriend.
Of course.
Right? So I
course.
started realizing I started realizing this, and I was like, something is off. And then I purposefully stopped to see how I was without momentum, and I was not like good. All of these problems, I felt like I was in 2014 when I was just starting, even though I had a leg count over 100 at that time, like in 2016 or something. I had leg count over 100. I had pulled probably 400 times at that time, and I stopped going out for a month.
400 girls take home.
Yeah, but failing a lot, failing a lot.
For the mess.
Yeah, for the reference,
Yeah.
Yeah, I probably pulled over 1,000 times. Like,
do it for the reference.
Yeah, but also like sometimes we used to view it like this, like we didn't even care about the lay. We cared about doing something hard. So you go up to the situation where you really think, no way you're gonna get laid, no way. And many times you didn't, but sometimes you did. You went to the craziest situation you could ever imagine. You stole a girl from a jock, or you got a girl who was not interested in you at all, and then you just like, she became interested, and boom. Anyways, point of the story. I stopped going out for 1 month, and then I tried to go out, and I was so insecure, and I was so blocked, and there was no inner work at that time. I didn't know inner work, and then I started to think, okay, what can I do about this? There must be something. And that was around the same time that I met my old business partner, Chris, for the first time. And we had discussions about that. And then for 1 year we talked. And then in 2017, that's when we decided more what to do with the social prime. And we started to create, because we started to think, how can we deal with this? At least for me, how can I deal with my insecurity permanently? Like, if I go out 1,000 nights and I stop for 1 month and I still feel insecure, that's not good. So how to create a method where I take away the insecurity forever and I'm not insecure anymore. And that's when social prime teachings were born.
And your part of the story is a good part, because again, there is this dream, of the solution being in the time and in the skill, So the time, the action, the massive action, the skill, the drill will get you somewhere. And you were exactly the proof, like me, If you stop for 1 month and you have the skill, why after 1 month of stopping yourself, you are basically rewired? And if the seduction is a skill, why they are people that they don't even read a book about seduction and they are completely easygoing, and most likely there are a lot of them. We don't see them, but there are a lot of them. Like
Yeah.
there are a lot of people that are insecure, but there are a lot of them. And talking about this, the main concept of your teachings was, of course, inner work. Now, I want to go like more on the shifting on the self-esteem side of the live, And I want to speak about one thing that really like now is into me, I will say. So
Yeah.
the concept of authenticity,
Yeah.
So I realized that the community of dating has two problems, The first problem is and there is the big problem, I call the problem of what to say. So there is a failure to recognize that in every interaction there is a logical level and an emotional level, and linking about that, there is the belief of someone that is in front of you, that is actually speaking with you, by you pretending to be another person, then you have self-esteem, and most likely it was even confusing for me, Why should I be a guy with self-esteem if I go to a girl and I express in an authentic way, in a true way, what I'm feeling? So what can you think? What can you elaborate about that? Because there is a big
Yeah.
misunderstanding,
What to say? Like when you speak with your friend, do you think like this? No. When you speak to a family member, do you think like this? No. When you speak to a stranger, you ask for something, you don't think like this. It's only with a woman that you think like this. Why? It's because you're insecure. It's because you want to make something happen. You want to create something. So even if you have the best thing to say, but you are still insecure, and you try to hide this, then she's gonna pick it up, and it won't be good. It just won't. So forget about what to say, because it doesn't matter what you say. Because every natural never thinks about what to say. When you think about what to say, you get in your head. You don't want to be in your head. You want to have a good vibe. You want to be in the flow. But if you cannot be that, then you want to address the feeling in you, which holds you back from that. And that's what the work that we're talking about, authenticity, is all about. What was my teaching about? It was not about being perfect. It was not about just being in the state and being natural all the time. It was to get there every time. And you get there by addressing what's in the way. So if you address on the logical way, like you said, Alessio, what to say, this is like 1% of what's happening. Even in psychology, when they define communication, they say that something like 5% is the words, 10% is the voice, the rest is like the body language or the body. It's not only the body language, it's also the emotion which emits, the chemicals which emit, the chemicals
because
which
the body language is another one of the concepts that I destroyed in this industry. So we both agree that if I go to a girl and I take space, like I go with a tank and I take space, this doesn't lower my anxiety, And there is like if I go to the girl, like, and this is something that makes you, of course, laugh, but a lot of people, they still believe that, they still believe that if I go to the girl, and I wish it was that, because we were everybody was about free of problems, because if my level of anxiety is destroyed by me occupying space, then there wouldn't be any insecurities in the world. Imagine a jealous guy that is fearful about his girlfriend being with another guy. All he has to do is to lay down on the sofa and occupying space, like the world, but this thing makes you laugh, but like the world will be a different place, but the problem is that nobody before me ever questioned the assumption, the problem is questioning the assumption. So you were right when said that psychology says the body language, but more than body language, I will say, how do you feel? How do you feel when you, because if you are in the metro, for example, or in a bus, and you see someone that is angry, you feel that, even if he's not saying that to you. And this applies in the human interaction as well. You said that you can even look someone in the eye and see how he's feeling, how he's calibrated, and like it's not because you are a Jedi, but you have this feeling of calibration when you work on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. The main part of communication is what we call your vibe. That's what it's not the shape of the body, it's the vibe. Now, if you want to be a clown, go like this in a dance floor, sure. Go like this. If you want to be a clown, be a clown. Like, if you want to do techniques, be a clown and do that. Like, that's fine. For me, that's fine. Like, if you want to waste your time, you can do this. If you are listening to Alessio, like, either you want to learn, you want to become much better, or you just want to criticize, but then you're also a clown. That's your choice. If that's who you want to be. Like, if you want to become the king of seduction, you have to become a king inside. There's no way around this. And this inner work, there's only inner work that can do this. Now, here's the thing. I need to address this because I remember this was a common question that I think I've defined a little bit better now. People would say, yeah, okay, but I don't feel like a natural right now. I feel not good enough. All right, that only means we need to work at where the problem is. We need to work at the root. We need to work at the feeling of not feeling good enough. Or because you are insecure, not feeling good enough, you learn 5 years of techniques and you bang 100 girls or 500 girls and you still don't feel good enough and you still can't relax. You still can't have a high quality girlfriend and you're like stuck with momentum. Sure, if that's what you want and you want results like that, go and do it. Like, if you think that the only thing that matters is to have 500 lay count, even if you're feeling insecure, yeah, man, like go ahead, waste your life doing this. No, that's not how I see it. Quality results where you become a better person. You should become an attractive man, not pretend that you're an attractive man. And for this, you have to deal with this feeling of not feeling good enough. Now we are talking about something we can deal with. Now we are talking about what inner game is about. Because this sentence, if all you guys in Italy understand this one sentence, you will understand exactly what Alessio does, what I used to do, and also what I do now for like life and entrepreneurship and money mindset. It's this: deal with the feeling of not being good enough through inner work, so that what's underneath your core self comes up, which is 100% self-esteem, which doesn't have any doubt and which cannot feel not good enough. So you have to deal with this feeling. That's what our work is about. Like, remember, Alessio, when we told you to go out and tell the girl you feel nervous. So it's the opposite. It's like, go there and oh, you feel low value. Go and say it.
Yeah. And for the people, and for me, it is extremely, it was extremely resisting, but it was like I was 5 years into the technique. How is that possible that these guys tell me to go to the girl and tell logically the most low value? But because the value is not on the logic, it's on the vibe. So on the vibe level, telling the girl that you are low value because you are authentic is higher value. And this is one of the things that reaches you. In fact, what also you teach and I teach is the principle of life in general, and here we are on the dating stuff, is related to emotion. Because when you are, for example, going out and pick up girls, what I tell the guys is usually that we all know logically the stuff. The problems are the emotions, and the emotions are not feminine, are also for men, because men, they feel emotion. If men didn't feel emotion, they didn't they wouldn't be in the world, the unfortunately, the dramas that we have in the world. If men,
Yeah.
they were just logic, there would be no war, there would be nothing. We were just entities floating into the clouds. But because this is not true, it is not Disney, it is reality. What I want to tell you is the fact that you have to accept an emotion, even in meditation. So the
Yes.
emotions have to be dealt, related to self-esteem, not suppressed, not repressed, but accept.
Yes. Yes. This whole work, if you get what Alessio just said and what I said before, the work of accepting your feelings of being low value, your feelings of being like, not good enough, your feelings of being not worthy. If you learn how to accept them, you will transform them and they will change. And now, the person who you are, which is naturally high value, naturally good enough means you don't have to prove it.
Yeah.
Literally. Like people now, they don't understand why I'm solid with women. Like I don't need to talk. I went 2 years without women in my life because I went spiritual, and I came back and I'm still good. No momentum.
Me
No
too.
momentum.
Me too. When I was, it was funny because one of the things that I never shared to you, it was that the first time that COVID hit, I was basically in Italy, and I was working as a policeman. And it was funny because I was working all the day. And
Yeah.
basically, like, clubs are closed, streets are closed. And I remember that from February, most likely, to June, I was 4 months without anything, no social interaction, nothing. I remember going into the center of Milan. At the time, I wasn't into a relationship, to drink a coffee with one of my friends. And one of my friend, we were there, and he told me, "You see, she is a pretty girl." And I said, "Yeah." And he like he told me, "I know. Go." And I said, "Are you sure? But we just met." "No, I know, you go." You know what ended up? I ended up saying hi to her, completely chill. We ended up taking a coffee, taking a drink, and because I didn't have the location in Milan, wasn't able me to pull at my place because I was living outside Milan, and she was with roommates. If it was like the situation was, I would have done like one approach, one lay. But I tell, of course, the guys to leave the stats, that the stats are the yeah, man. Okay, you don't know, because you are, of course, in your retreat. You don't know how, unfortunately, I will say, sometimes this community is toxic. That they send out guys with the stats. How many approach did it get you to get a number? How many approach did it get you to get a lay? That people in Italy go out with this idea in mind.
Yeah, I remember this as well in the past. Like, here's the problem with this. Why are you attaching your self-worth to your, like, a stat? Who cares? Like, literally, why are you making this thing so serious? The more serious you make it, the more horrible it will be to do it. It should be something that's fun. It should be something which is natural. Like, natural guys, I've seen a lot of natural guys. The way they hang out with each other, the way they hang out when we hang out with them, man, if they're doing something like that, it's like a joke. But here, the pickup community, here we are in the pickup community, they are dead fucking serious. They could tattoo their stats, It's to that level. They are dead serious. Now, this seriousness makes you unattractive.
Because it makes you needy.
needy, thinking in your head, thinking you're not free to be who you are, like this thing, like when you are truly natural, you don't even care if you're getting laid or not. You really don't care.
And
And guess what?
paradoxically, you get laid by that.
Exactly.
And paradoxically, you get laid by that. It is a paradox, because people, they say, yeah, but if I want a girl, okay, and I approach a girl, how is it possible that I don't need her? Yeah, but you want her. You have the intention that you want her. But if she leaves it or not, if she leaves you, for example, you don't feel affected. But the problem is that, again, in the world of dating, neediness is not something that you say or do. It is something that you feel. You may
Yeah.
do something needy, like say to a girl, please, please. But if I go to a girl with this vibe and I say, please, don't leave me, I'm not needy. So everything that is needy or not needy, it cannot be defined in words. As you can't define fear. What is
Yeah.
fear? What is anger? You can define anger or fear. You can define the consequences or the feeling. So for me, for example, fear is a pressure on the stomach, a pressure on the
Yeah.
chest. But this is a sensation, but you can describe a feeling. You can, what is neediness? Neediness is a label that you put on a sensation. So because
Yeah.
it's a label, it cannot be described as a word. Do you agree with that? I guess.
Yes. Yes. And another way to say it too is, doesn't matter what you think. If you struggle with women, you have insecurities with women. There's two ways to go about it. Pretend it's not there and suffer the consequences and do techniques and do whatever you clown stuff, right? Which actually means that even if you get laid, still you won't fix it and you'll suffer. Or take care of the insecurities.
The root.
That's what inner work is about. That's what this type of coaching that Alessio is preaching is about. That's what the type of coaching, like, and this is, like Alessio said, this is not only for women. I am moving, like, I don't do dating coaching. I do like performance, like career and wealth, money coaching right now, because it's the same blockage. You have blockage for women, you have blockage for money. Now that can be worked with as well. Once you take away the insecurity for money, you can become rich. I'm setting a certain people right now. There will be testimonials coming in a month or two. I'm setting up people to make over 10, 20K by the coaching I do now, because it's the same thing. Once you understand this, now you can become free in every area, because Alessio right now is very successful. That is not by luck. That is by understanding this principle, using it with women, and now using it for a career. And he is heading like this, not only with women, also with the
Because
value and the help he shares.
the thing that I teach them is that I apply this principle. I applied this principle in my life, and there is all about emotion. That the people in general tend to ignore. The emotion.
Yep.
No, but the emotion. No, but action, 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 action is bullshit. And also, what I tell the guys before passing on the question is the fact that you were right before 10 minutes before when you said you can even ignore this live. So probably a lot of people, they will ignore this live, this live, but you can't ignore the consequences because they will get you. And when I speak to your audience to bring you the testimonial of what your teachings had on me, I said that probably I wish reality would be different. So people, they don't understand that I wish, like, I can release a feeling occupying space, because in my life I'm a very direct person. I have a problem, I prefer to pay and solve me the problem. Give me the most direct, efficient way to solve a problem. We have a problem, I pay. I need to move from Italy and go where I'm staying, I pay. I don't care. I need to hire a lawyer, I pay. I don't beat around the bush. Give me the
Yeah.
most direct way. And if it was a way where like it was like this, I will be happy to teach them, because I will probably didn't have 1,000 hours of meditation. I probably didn't have a time travel meditation. I probably didn't have all the inner work that I did. And I wish it was another road, but it is not. It is not. Okay. So that it is not another road. So that is. So I would like to pose you some interesting question that maybe I will I will I will see. Do you think that illness comes from the mind and is possible to heal almost any disease with meditation? Do you have some story of someone who healed doing meditation? Marco, before answering you, we have to tell you that both of us, they don't do medical advices, so you have to take our advices as opinions. We have to do the disclaimer because I have to protect me and my mentor. So after that, Nils, if you have your opinion on that.
Yeah, so I believe when we talk of the highest levels of meditations, there's so many things that you wouldn't even imagine possible, but most people are not going to hit those levels. So for most people, no. But for the people that are deep enough to explore, yes, I think. So
Okay.
I have to say that because most people say it's bullshit, and it's because most people can't meditate. Most people, like, I meditated for 10 years, and I still know there's a lot of improvement. But I believe there's crazy miracles that can happen through meditation. It's just that most of the people in the Western world, now, we don't have enough hours of meditation to tap into this.
But do you remember the good old Sergio? Sergio has solved one of his chronic nose issues by meditation, by letting go.
Yes.
I remember him because he was keep telling me over and over and over.
That's the thing
with meditation.
Like Sergio is like a pioneer, he goes into that. I've also healed things through meditation as well. I'm just saying that for most people, no.
Okay. I want to ask you two questions, and I want to link to them, so we will stay around 1 hour, 1 hour and 5 minutes. And one good question from one of my students, and another one, and especially the second one, please, Niels, be rude, direct, and completely authentic. So the first question is that Maurizio asked you is, how with social prime at the beginning, you came up with the concept of authenticity. And the second one, there is a big misbelief in the community about women looking for the look. So sexual market value, we both know Alex Vilenchik, that you also got interviewed by him. It's funny, he's a good guy. And the concept of sexual market value. So is it true, because this will create, I know in the following days, a lot of audios and videos, but is it true that if you are not good looking, you can have good looking models, women? Like women, what do they search in a man?
So first thing I will say is, if you have a very strong belief that sexual market value is the only thing which attract women, that's the only thing that your mind will see. So understand this. So when we say this, you're going to think no, because that's all you see, but that's because you are so stuck in your belief. So that's the only thing you see, because it's not true. Man, like, I've seen like guys who's 150 with a was beautiful girl. We had a student in the second immersion ever. He was 155 and she was 185. No, 190 actually, and stole her from a black guy who was 2 meters.
Oh.
With our help. with our help, you know.
And how did you came, like, you had, like, briefly, because you met with Chris, and you realized the toxicity of the pickup community. How did it came in your mind that being authentic and real was the key?
Uh, I mean, we were doing this ourselves more and more, and we realized that all the students that were crushing it was the people that were being more authentic, that were dropping their bullshit, and all the students that were not crushing it, they were using techniques, and they went against what we said. So we stopped the whole techniques, and we only focused on that. And we thought, okay, let's bring out the thing which is naturally attractive, the unique one thing which is naturally attractive in each one of the people, and bring this out. And when we did it, every single person got attracted. We had a guy with like a brain injury with a hole in the head. He pulled like 4 times on the immersion. Like beautiful, stunning girls. Like, this is the thing. Like, you're if you think the SMV is like the only one metric, maybe it's one metric. It doesn't matter. There's so many people who are still very successful, very, very successful. Like, I've seen hundreds. You don't believe what I've seen my students do. Any type of students, virgins, like go with the Instagram model. Virgin, he lost it with Instagram model, became his girlfriend. Like, you don't understand what I've seen. I've seen all of that. So for me, it's complete madness that someone thinks like this, because I've seen 100 guys who are not like that, who got more beautiful girls than you ever got. I'm talking to the audience.
Yeah. And it's mind blowing. The immersion was mind blowing, man. Like, I see like 2 weeks where, I mean, like, time travel meditation, and meditation was, I mean, probably, I'm not joking about that, but meditation was one of the things that probably saved my life. Like, and it's like talking about self-esteem, as I told, when I speak to your audience, it's crazy to see how it is fucking in your mind. Like your mind is fucking your life, or it's improving your life. Like, if you think
Yes.
about, like, the mind, it's the creator of everything. Like, if you, like, because if you think about that, if your mind is in your on your side, you will be unstoppable with women. Imagine that, if you see an attractive girl, a model girl, and your mind says to you, yeah, but who cares about SMV? Go, you are the shit. Paradoxically, you will approach her and you will bang her. It's incredible. It's incredible.
I want to say that because, I know people from all the spectrum in the dating community, even the guys who succeed with techniques. It's not because of the techniques, it's because of their unconscious mindset. You don't get that. Like, I know killers who's using techniques and they think it's because of the techniques, but they don't know. They have a strong mindset that they actually deserve that girl, or that they can do it. It's only the mindset which gives them results. It's only that they have an inner part. That's why they are even successful with women. That's what you don't understand. Techniques is like the wrapping paper of the present. It's nothing. What's inside the package, that's everything. And if that's good, you will get good results. If that's shit, you will get shit results. Actually, if you have that with money, you will be a rich person. If you have a bad one, you're gonna be poor. It's just the same thing.
Okay, yeah, but like, it's probably one of the biggest, limiting belief to cut off the people. I want to ask you another question, that it's something that I also speak about, and one of the guys asks a thing that is related to emotional blockage. So, why, when I'm having pucci pucci with a woman of yeah, this is the thing. The pucci pucci is the hidden message that I use with my girlfriend. So I will share this with you also. So why, when I'm doing pucci pucci with a girl that is average looking, I have no problems. But why I have problem of course getting him up when I'm having pucci pucci with girls that are very attractive?
It's because they make you feel insecure. That's all. They make you feel insecure. How do you deal with it? Deal with the insecurity. Inner work, letting go, coaching, or try by yourself. But if you don't deal with the insecurity, you're never going to feel good enough. If you deal with the insecurity, that beautiful girl, she will be like just the average girl that you sell.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question because there is one guy that probably, I don't know if Lorenzo will ban him because he's threatening our throne, but this guy says a question, that it's pretty harsh to eradicate. This is a question that probably I want to bypass other question because it is good, But if one is okay with himself and he doesn't have the fear, now I will probably answer to him like you said, So if someone it has no fear, okay, and is himself without any method, he is supposed to fail. But there is a problem that the reason for you to have a method is because you are insecure. That is the reason.
Like,
If you don't have fear, if you don't have insecurities, you don't need a method. The problem is not that you need what to say. The problem is that you need what to say because you have fear. Because if you already are okay with you don't need a method. You will naturals what they do. They don't have a method. They go, they speak with a girl, they just know how the mind of a girl is. They don't want feel like they want to be used, They go to a girl and they will express who they are. They don't need a method. So the reason for needing a method, you will elaborate on that, is because you have fear.
Yep.
This is the reason.
Yeah. 100%. Like, first of all, the person asking this question, the same bias, because you are so stuck in your mind, and it's okay. Like, you're gonna not receive these words probably because of that, because you are so determined that your belief that a technique is important, you cannot even imagine someone without a technique doing well because you're stuck in your belief. Now, what I will say though is, what about all of our ancestors? They didn't have any techniques and they all got laid because we are here today. All of them. How? Literally, how?
Yeah. There is, there is a lot of blind spots around that because most of the people, they don't see the real, and even me before, I wasn't seeing the reality as it was because I was so focused on the blind spots, because you have problems with women, and you say, okay, I have problems with women and then I need to improve with women, but you don't see that all around you there are guys that are rocking up with women and they don't need technique, because even the mystery method was built on the base of mimicking the natural. It was mimicking the natural, and the question is why I don't be natural to begin with instead of mimicking
It's
it.
like this thing, if you don't have fear, why are you assuming you need to do anything? Like what I say, perfect game is this: friend zone plus sexuality. This is game. Friend zone plus sexuality. You are comfortable with a girl and you let your sexuality come up. If you do that, it's finished. That's game. When you are natural.
I have a few more questions because we are going to the hour spot. And one question that I have is why? Because why people that have difficulties moments in their life, they have different blockages?
Well, it just means like how you interpret the events. So you could go through different, like, you can go through the same trauma. Two people can go through similar trauma. They have different blockages because they interpret it different. Like one example is, it doesn't happen in Sweden, but in southern countries, they beat their children, and some people, they get fucked from this, and some people, they are generally quite fine. It depends on the interpretation.
Another good question, and then another one, and then we'll go. It is why, when I go to a girl and I express how I feel, like for example, I express that I'm anxious, I still feel anxious.
Because you're trying to do it like a technique. You think, you say, I'm anxious, abracadabra, and it's gone. No, the point is to say that you're anxious, to feel anxious, and to become accepting that you feel anxious, so that you are not avoiding anxiousness. You stay with it, and you become confident when you're anxious. And if you're confident when you're anxious, the anxiety goes away.
Yeah. There is a student of mine, Enrico, that says hi to you, and it says, leave the other gurus for tonight because they are speaking the ones. And hi, Enrico. And another few questions. We'll say, okay. One student of mine asks, what do you think about the how can I explain to you in English? Like the moment that I realized it. So the darkest time of the soul, the night darkest time of the soul. What do you think about that? And because you saw me, so because you saw me, spoiler alert. What are your suggestions to deal with probably the most hardest moment in someone's life?
Yeah, so the dark night of the soul is like a concept which refers to when all of that, you're kind of getting stuck in all of your deepest blockages and you cannot get out, and you stay there for a long time. For every single person, including myself, that I know, that has always been one of the biggest growth phases, when you're growing as a person beyond what you otherwise would. So that's a good thing. Now, it's maybe not comfortable, but my best advice is just to allow yourself to go through this phase and become wise after. Because that doesn't happen to everyone, but it can happen to a lot of people. And if you fight it, this is not a good idea.
Okay. I have two more questions and then we'll close. And one is how, and the second one is not a question in itself, but is an answer that we both need to give. One is how I am able to eliminate fear of sexual interest. So like this guy asks like for example, he is in a social context, when this girl knows him. So for example, in a group, so they just both know each other. So he asks for some suggestion to eliminate the fear of expressing sexual interest.
Express it. That's the best way. But yeah, like, you cannot eliminate, you can only accept. So if you accept this fear and say it to her, you don't need to say in a needy way or in a crazy way, but you can simply say, like, I'm a little afraid to say this to you, but I actually like you more than a friend. That's a simple way. Simple way. Now I gave you a technique, you know.
Yeah. One of the last question is, because there is again a misunderstanding, okay? And again, so Gianluca asks, okay, but we are okay with dealing with emotions, you know, and this is funny because I will succeed in eradicating this belief. This is my mission. Like, okay with dealing with emotions, okay, but can you give us some practical strategies for pickup? And this question, again, it's, if you pose this question, Gianluca, you don't even understand the principle, you know. You see inner game and outer game as two different things, when in reality are the same. So it is not the work on the inner game and on the outer game. So we can even talk about, for example, strategies like, if you approach a girl and she's with a friend, look at the friend. But we are talking about normal, you know, normal way of being. So you can answer after me, Niels, of course. But like, there is no emotional work and technique work. They cannot coexist, you know. So the inner game and the like outer game is the consequence of the inner game. So in reality, inner and outer are one thing. So in reality, the outer is the inner and the inner is the outer. You know, it's the same thing. You can, there can be a mismatch on the outer, you know, but in reality, it is the outer is the inner. So there is no inner work and technique work. So there cannot be, if you deal with your emotions, for example, and you eliminate your fear, techniques will come automatically. Techniques, expression, you know, will come automatically. If you eliminate the fear behind, what I teach you guys is, when you eradicate the fear, in any fear, the behavior comes automatically. Let's just say, for example, that you have a fear of expressing sexual interest. I can pick you up and say, okay, go to the girl and say that you like her. Okay, in a technical way. But in reality, if you don't have fear, you will automatically say to her. So what is the most efficient way? Dealing with the root, not with the technique, you know.
100%. Like you said everything. It's this thing, like, the thing is, if you want the strategies because you're insecure, so deal with the insecurity instead. And it's true, like, one time there was an assistant who watched me pulling, and later he's like, man, what, you did so many techniques. And I told him, I'm like, what are you talking about? There was no thought in my head of any of that. I was being naturally myself. When I want to move her, I take and I say, come, let's go. It's not a technique. It's like, what is this bullshit? Like a technique is you think about to do what's right in some moment. No, you use your intuition, you use your common sense. It's not a technique. If I ask Alessio a question, that's not a technique. I'm curious about something and I ask. I'm curious about taking my friends to go and watch a movie. I ask. We're walking with my friend and I want to go into a store, I take him. It's the same thing with a girl. Like, you're making it so complicated. It's not complicated at all.
If you eliminate the fear that is behind everything, the behavior comes automatically. So when you eradicate the fear, the behaviors comes into place. Anyways, Nis, we are closing. We both have to go. I really thank you for being here and sharing this. We are hoping when we will both have time to maybe have you in the future in this channel. But before you leave, I want you to conclude, the guys, one thing. So if there was one advice, and of course I will tell, if they want to be high achievers, they can relate to you and they can write you and everything, you can do this. But before share for you the most important thing about what you think that it is the most important thing that anybody can do to do the first step. like the first step to move into the truth or the true reality, you know.
Instead of running away from your insecurities, run towards them. You actually just need that.
Yeah, and it is the probably the hardest thing to do. Simple thing to do, but hard thing to do.